Like many people, I'm still horrified and reeling by what I saw unfold in the Oval Office on Friday when Donald Trump and JD Vance teamed up against Vladimir Zelensky, a man who has been bravely fighting the Russian incursion into his country over the last 3 years. Trump already was demanding quid pro quo for support in terms of his mineral wealth. And yesterday they turned on him and abandoned the 1994 agreement that they had to protect and support Ukraine, threw him under the bus. And Donald Trump continues to side with Vladimir Putin, with one of the great war criminals of our modern age. Just for example, over 20,000 Ukrainian children have been kidnapped by Russian soldiers and then taken into the interior of Russia. It is tantamount to a genocide, to an attempt to destroy the cultural identity of the Ukrainian people. How would any other nation feel if they were experiencing things like that? The targeting of hospitals and just the invasion of the country itself. It's horrifying. And then to see Trump and Vance trying to humiliate Zelensky, demanding that he had not shown proper obeisance to them. It's just horrifying to see what has become of the United States, which was once presented as a defender uh, for freedom against oppression. It's not certainly that anymore. What I wanted to post in this video, however, was best 2 3 minute clip from punditry that I've seen in the last 24 hours. And it comes from Jonathan V. Last, otherwise known as JVL. And JVL is a commentator on The Bulwark, which is a center-right conservative group of journalists who have been unremitting critics of MAGA and Trump since the beginning. Very well evidenced and argued points that you always get from The Bulwark. I've included a link below if you want to subscribe to them on YouTube. But in this clip, so JVL just shares his thoughts as to what he thought of this meeting, and these are powerful words, so I thought everybody would benefit from hearing them.
It made me want to throw up. The most shameful moment in American history of my lifetime, I think. And a sign that America is ruled by an autocrat. I want to unpack a couple things here real quick, just off the very top. Um, Nobody seems to remember this, but at the close of the Cold War, Ukraine was in possession of 1,900 nuclear warheads.
Mhm.
They had one of the largest stockpiles of nuclear arms in the entire world. They did not directly control them because they were Soviet-controlled warheads that were stationed there during the last days of the Soviet Union. But like the Ukrainian people are pretty resourceful, and holding on to 1,900 nuclear warheads is a pretty fucking valuable card to have if we're talking about cards. They chose to give them up. Why did Ukraine choose to give up these warheads? Because in 1994, the United States of America signed a guarantee of Ukrainian sovereignty and security against aggression. We, we, we had a deal. We had a fucking deal with these people already. And we convinced them to give up their nuclear warheads, and we did. And now all of a sudden that's just gone. And the other thing, the idea that Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine has not expressed gratitude. Zelensky came to America. He stood in the well of the Senate and spoke to the entire nation and expressed to every individual American the gratitude that coursed through the hearts of every single Ukrainian.
I hope my words of respect and gratitude resonate in each American heart. Madam Vice President, I thank you for your efforts in helping Ukraine.
And this obsession with J.D. Vance and Donald Trump with gratitude, it betrays an absolute confusion, although maybe it's not confusion, over what is the state. The state to them is Donald Trump. And so what needs to be expressed is gratitude not to the American people, not to the Congress, not to whoever happens to be president in 2023, but to Donald Trump himself. And here's the key thing, Zelensky having expressed gratitude to Congress when Trump was not president is worse than not counting. He views that as a betrayal. And that we are led by this man who does all of this in our names is it is shameful, and it makes me feel deep, deep shame to be an American because we own this. It doesn't matter how much we disagree with it or how how angry it makes us. We own this,
Yeah.
and it's horrible.
Yesterday, CNN and some other news websites posted a list of 33 times that Vladimir Zelensky had publicly thanked the United States for their support. 33 times. So it was never about giving thanks or showing gratitude. As JVL rightly observes, it's about showing gratitude personally to Donald Trump, not to the American people or to the American government, to Donald Trump. This is similar. Um, what Marco Rubio said when he criticized um, Vladimir Zelensky yesterday following the meeting. He said, well, yeah, okay, he has thanked America and shown gratitude many times, but he didn't give thanks to Donald Trump yesterday on February 28th. And so that was a deal breaker. And he also said he didn't give adequate thanks to Donald Trump for what Donald Trump did in the first term of his presidency, his first presidency, which again just hammers home the point that JVL made, which for this megalomaniac, this clinical psychopath, this malignant narcissist, it doesn't count unless you're giving obeisance, gratitude to him personally as an individual. That's the only thing that counts. It is so devastating to see this and to see the United States abandoning its own agreements and its own not only legal but moral obligations to other peoples like Ukraine. Um, I I don't know what to say at this point, except I think people need to continue to speak out, and you need to do more than likes and retweets and social media posts. I don't know what it looks like, but people around the world need to, and certainly people in the United States need to speak out in support of Ukraine, against Trump, against Trump's best friend and mentor, Vladimir Putin, and to be able to stand up for freedom. And certainly that is something that every Christian should be doing. It is so infuriating to have evangelical Christians and some other conservative Catholic Christians who still are supporting Donald Trump at rates of 80% in their approval in polls, uh, talking about being pro-life, and yet they're supporting a butcher like Putin and Donald Trump, who is his lapdog. Donald Trump, who has the audacity to say that it is not Putin who is a dictator, but rather Zelensky, democratically elected Zelensky. Why does Trump say that? Because elections have been postponed within Ukraine. Well, they've been postponed because they are at war and because most of the people are fighting on the front. And for Donald Trump, who attempted to overturn the 2020 election results, to challenge somebody else who's suspended elections during wartime, have the audacity to call them a dictator and yet refuse to speak out against Putin, just tells you all you need to know about Donald Trump. And it tells you all you need to know about how empty and vacuous these claims to be pro life are from the conservative Christians who support this man.